FASD as defined by CAN-FASD. FASD stands for Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder. It's a lifelong disability that affects the brain and body of people who were exposed to alcohol in the womb. Each person with FASD has both strengths and challenges, and will need special supports to help them succeed with many different parts of their daily lives. Do you know what living with and supporting FASD looks like?
My name is Clementine McKinnon.
My name is Johnny.
My name is Jerry Soltani.
My name is Daryl.
Scott Roberts.
My name is Matthew.
My name is Samantha Somerton.
My name is Nina McKinnon.
My name is Rick.
Darlene.
Hi, Peter James McIntosh.
My name is Eugene.
Fred Sick Jr.
My name is Judy Cosby.
It looks like us.
My work is to make people aware of what FASD is.
FASD is, for me, something that describes how I find things.
It's not a challenge. It can be a challenge for some people. Some people have it severe more than that.
FASD to me means that I have to work harder than anybody else who is normal brain. My brain starts right when I get up. It just starts going when I get up, and it doesn't stop until I go to bed. So I'm exhausted after 3 o'clock.
What supports work for you?
I try to advocate for myself that this is who I am. Somebody who could understand my situation, and somebody who could understand me for a total of what I go through every day. Sometimes I need a reminder.
I have a short, long-term memory, yeah. Just reminders. I have people advocate for me.
My mom always sat me down with teachers way back when, and with the principals, and talked with them every year before I went to school, so they would understand who I really was, and they wouldn't, bypass me. I have a support team, and they're a team that has helped me with money, time management, food, and everything under the sun.
What supports me, helping me in my life, is when I'm stressed out. I like someone that I can trust to help me and calm down.
What challenges do you face?
Addiction.
I definitely struggle with fitting in with other people, because even when I'm not trying to be rude, they find it as me being bossy to them, even though I don't see them.
Yeah, we all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. I've done good, I've done bad.
It explains my rages and my anger and the confusion and why I was being put back in class and all, why was I so different from all the other students and, the teacher. Trying to find a job is the hardest. That's one thing, because when you say that you have FASD, they go, oh, what's that? And then they think less. Trying to find friends and keep friendships is another hard thing, because, we're very different from normal people, and we still want to be like normal people and be loved and have the same things.
What are your strengths?
Be me still. What is my meaning in life? I don't know. I just have to set a role model for others to follow me in my path that I choose.
My strength is my creativity with the ways that I see things.
My strength is dance. I've been a dancer since I was 5 years old. I am a motivational speaker for adults and families with FASD. Doing a job interview, when they always say, do you have any more questions for us? And I always say, do you know what FASD is? And if they say no, and I'm like, well, then here's a pamphlet. Here's this, here's that. And that's how I try to advocate for myself.
My strengths are having people, friends.
What are you most proud of?
Being a dad, actually, to be honest.
I would probably say my biggest accomplishment would be jiu-jitsu.
My women's have my food safe. I have my first aid. I've got everything.
The number one accomplishment is getting to the age of 45 and surviving it all. One of my other accomplishments was that I graduated from the Canadian College of Performing Arts in Victoria, and the other biggest accomplishment is hearing my mother telling me how amazing and how happy she is to see me just grow and mature over the years and how well I've done.
My goal was to build a cabin, and my goal was to live in a cabin, a small little 10 by 12 rough little cabin. It took everything I had to build the cabin, and let me tell you, it paid off at the end.
What do you want people to know about FASD?
I'm able to get through life difficult as it seems.
I want people to understand that FASD doesn't just make it a disability for everyone. It also creates strengths with it.
We all do things at a different pace. We all do things a different way.
It's not a jail sentence. It's the hard times don't last forever. The hard times don't last for long, and there are many people in this world who are doing well with FASD.
What are some stereotypes of FASD that you think need to be addressed?
Doesn't mean we're drunks. Doesn't mean we're addicts. It's like, why can't you do this? And there's something wrong with you.
The labeling of us being addicts and drunks, the misconception that we're just always angry and we're always, we're just always weird.
What can the community do to be more supportive of folks with FASD?
More workshops based on this.
You have to be genuine, you have to be kind, you have to be respectful, respect others. So yeah, anything you can teach these children. We start off young, try to expand our horizons.
Information. Pamphlets, videos. If you have the money, go to a conference, go to a workshop, take a workshop, go to trainings. The patience and understanding and just being more accommodating for those with FASD would be a great change.
So that the public understands what they're dealing with. Treat them like adults. Try to understand them, but don't treat them like kids. Learning how to be a worker out in the field, like be ready for anything, because you're in for a wild ride.
Why is it important to talk about FASD?
I think it's very important to talk about FASD because we've had so many years of pregnancies of women who have no idea that they're pregnant and they're still drinking, and some of them don't even get diagnosed and they fall through the cracks, and then things go sideways. Support equals success and structure, and structure is also a big thing for those with FASD, because without structure nothing happens. It's just fall right through the cracks and it just goes downhill from there. So
it's really important to get the younger generation to know about what could happen. It's really important for these younger people to get this information out as soon as possible.
What would you say to a young person living with FASD?
57 now. 57. Both guys don't make it this far. You gotta learn from your mistakes.
I would probably say the best thing about having this is I get to explore things that I probably wouldn't have, and thought about things that I wouldn't have if I didn't.
But yeah, I'm hoping that somebody will get something out of these stories that you guys
I would say, hard times don't last forever. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna survive. It's gonna be all right. But you need to know that you're gonna have lots of support in your life.
Fred Sick Jr., half Mexican, half native, Champagne-Ajac through my father. I do carving, and I'm a peer support outreach worker at FASSY.
My name is Samantha Somerton. I was born here in Whitehorse, Yukon. I also have FASD. I have ADD. a few other mental disabilities.
Hi, Peter James McIntosh. I'm from Whitehorse, Yukon. I lived there my whole life. I have 2 grandsons and 6 beautiful kids.
Scott Roberts, formerly of Alberta. Tall Cree, have numerous severe medical issues. It's made my life hard.
My name is Eugene, born and raised in Whitehorse. Out in the boonies, I like working all the time. I try to keep myself employed. Other than that, I try to be myself.
What is FASD to you?
A disability, it's a brain injury. I had no choice for the society and everybody to, use that against me and pick on me my whole life and belittle me and, just call me names. It was just really unfair. It caused me to hate myself for a long time. Because I was taught by society and people that, I was a loser, I was a failure, I wasn't ever going to achieve anything in life. I just,
It's a disorder. I've lived with it all my life, and it's been hard, but at the same time, it's great to have. It's what makes me.
It's just side effects, I guess, of my mom and dad's drink and drug habits when they were pregnant with us. Because early days in foster care, it was very hard to deal with because I was very argumentative. Didn't take criticism well, so I'd always freak out.
Probably before he certified, the person that diagnosed me said, Eugene, I'm going to recommend you to FASSY. And she explained it, FASD. And I'm just like, hey, what, do you think I'm crazy? And she said, no, Eugene, it's just that we see something that you don't see in yourself. FASD took a long time to sink in. And it turns out that FASSY's helped me a lot. Because otherwise, I was stuck with so many problems and didn't know what to do with it. You could look at me and then you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see nothing because I just helped myself.
What are some challenges of living with FASD?
Remember to get things done on orderly time, and then it seems like I completely forget about things until the last moment, and then constantly have to be reminded. It's been hard finding a place to live out where I have my independence. It was hard trying to get doctors to get the proof. I had a hard time advocating for what I needed.
Time. I'm really bad with my time and reminders for my meds. It's hard to advocate for myself. Sometimes they just need that person to sit right there, and then I do a better job. But everybody's different with FASD, right? Some may be good with their times and others are not. Like a lot of people think FASD, we're malicious, is we have a hard time showing it and we get confused with them sometimes.
I experienced homelessness so many damn times. I was focused on other problems when, the answer is right there and I can't see it. And I get to a point where, they can help me and I can't deal with it. I take it out in alcohol and drugs. Like I live in a place now, the best place I've ever had in my entire life. Probably saying no is one of the biggest challenges.
What are some strengths of having FASD?
I'm still trying to figure those out too in my life, actually, I guess this is my strength, one of my strengths. I've always been good at artwork though. I help a lot of people out across the board with all kinds of stuff. I finally got into my house last night. I just got in my PJs, climbed into bed, and then I get a message, someone's going through a tough time, and they're like, yo, you want to go for a walk and coffee real quick? And I was like, yeah, I'll meet you right now. I just think about, when I was that person, when I was like that, and what makes me good at my job is that I want to be there and help people out the way I wanted to be helped out.
I am a good grandpa to my 2 grandsons. I'm a good friend.
My strengths are my creativity. It's my personality, my creativity. I'm really good hands-on. I learn quickly, extremely fast, right? And that's the thing. It's a gift and it's a burden at the same time because I'll jump jobs. Because most FASD, we get bored quickly and easily. So it's not that we're lazy or anything. It's just we need our minds to be stimulated, right?
I try to help people with things, resources if I don't need them and I know they need them. I will go above and beyond to help people. I like doing craft stuff.
I like doing art, West Coast, whatever I can get my hands on. Silkscreen, carving, painting, drawings, whatever. A good friend of mine gave me a big chunk of ivory and I carved a little heart out there with a dove shape thing. Eugene, stick to your art. She says, why? I don't want the competition.
What are you most proud of?
My 3 kids. That is the best creation that I'll have ever created in my life. I carved for like 25 years. I have carved. I just had a 20-year anniversary art show at the Art Center to commemorate the years of artwork that I had done. I did all this with a chisel set. That's all I had was a chisel, and the chisel was no thicker than my nail, than what my finger was, and I did all this.
So I started dream catching right now, and I just started this, and I'm already getting pretty good at it. So got into paint drops. Yeah. Myself right now, I guess because I got myself off of drugs. Being homeless, I was homeless and drugs like 2 months ago. Now I got home and I'm drug free and I'm on my meds now and still a little bit working with them.
Staying employed, that helps me a lot. I'm really proud of it. I try to be helpful, man. I think I'm proud of that. Other than that, be myself. Oh, you made it this far, Eugene. Give yourself a pat on the back. He's done a lot of stuff.
I like my job too, it's good. I'm making parts like lids and sides and baffles, working with the machines that I have to pay attention to what I'm doing, and I do a very good job all the time.
Then here's one that I completed a few years back. I also make knife sheaths, so just because it's an old piece of leather like this was an old case, I repurposed, and that's what I do. Hammering things makes me take out some of my anger.
Addressing FASD stereotypes.
Oh, it's not just in the First Nation race. Everyone just thinks, oh, it's Indians, just Indians that have FAS. I've met all kinds of people that have FAS, and it goes back to the whole thing about how society has told everyone that it's bad.
Not all of us have the facial features too, right? Like me. So, stereotype that we're dumb and we're idiots. We actually just have a hard time with communication with people. We're quite intelligent. We all have, our abilities in different ways, creativity. Yeah, we're just amazing people. We just need a little bit of help once in a while.
What should people know about FASD?
You gotta give people with the disability like myself grace. It's hard, just have more grace, I guess. More understanding with people.
That it's out there. Don't judge a book by its cover just because you see someone staggering or walking around with their speech and they stutter and don't think they're drunk all the time. Just to be more kind when you see someone on the street that's not normal. Give them a shot. Don't just judge a book by its cover, because I was persecuted all through school, all through my whole life growing up, because of how I walked, how I looked, and how I speeched. It's been hard. The world needs to change.
What would you say to a young person living with FASD?
Just know to take your time. It's okay, right? It's great to be different. It's great to be unique. Just because people make fun of you and everything, just smile and keep on going. Be yourself, right? They just don't, people don't like us unique people. Because we do a lot of change in the world. We make a lot of people happy. But just know you're not the only one out there with it and having troubles. And there are places like FASSY that actually understand us and are here for you.
Never give up. There's help out there. You just got to look for it.
Just a gentle person and kind and stuff like that.
And say, hey, go register with FASSYs. Take FASSYs to help, man. So go see them.
Chase your dreams and don't listen to anybody, man. Don't listen to nobody. It'll be hard. It'll be a little bit harder than everyone else, but you know what? If you got the right support, you could do anything. And if you don't, then go out and find it. You just gotta give them a little bit of support, show them that you're there for them, and watch them, man. They're like a rose through concrete, dude. They'll grow. They'll flourish.
Caregiving and supporting folks with FASD.
My name is Nina McKinnon. I'm currently the Executive Director of the Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Society of Yukon. I'm also a single mom to a 9-year-old little girl. My background is in education. I started in this organization in 2022.
Kadere sutat wasay tuwati jerisoltani duwasak My name is Jerry Soltani. I am an Athabascan Tlingit woman from the traditional lands of the Okwan, which is near Juneau, Alaska. I've actually been working with people with FASD for quite some time, meaning that even before we actually knew what FASD was, I have worked with these individuals. It's always been a great part of my life to work with them and help out as much as I can.
ING Darlene Uye. I'm born of the Wolf Clan, Agunda Iche. My name is Darlene. Okay, I'm an elder representative of FASSY and Kwanlin First Nation. What I generally do is that I'm a First Nation teacher of culture and language, so which I try to implement where I work. I've been around people with FASD for many, many years. You know, I know it's in my community. I know it's, in Whitehorse. So it's been quite a long time.
My name is Judy Kosti. I'm 83 years old. I've lived with people with FAS my whole life, not knowing it in the beginning. I was the head nurse on the children's ward here in Whitehorse when Dr. Asante came up here and did his research project about disabling conditions in children in Yukon and northern BC. Well, I've discovered that my mother, who died of alcoholism, produced a few, and I lived with them. And we all have a unique little group of deficits. And we were the kids who people would say, she's a doctor's daughter. Why can't she do this? Well, same reason nobody else can. Her brain was a little different, a little bit wonky. So I've been doing this for probably 83 years. But officially, since 1972, when Dr. Asante first came and did the diagnosis, taught us all about it.
What should people know about FASD?
I think one of the most important things to know is that we need to have patience. Working with people with FASD, I have learned that a great amount of time and patience is required. Oftentimes we will have to repeat an answer, and that doesn't mean because they didn't hear you, it means because they didn't understand you. You also need to give that individual time to process what you have asked and then format their response. And I've also found that sometimes they will respond to you just to make you happy. It's not truthfully their answer. So give them a little space, ask the question, and listen to what they say. If you think they have answered the question, what you want to hear, just try asking it to them in a different way.
The biggest thing I would like people to know is that folks with FASD aren't just an accident that's happened, but rather a bigger part of the collective and a need for change, and that they're change makers. And when they're given the right supports and get to be that, I think that our world would be a better place.
They need a lot of patience. They need a lot of understanding. They need a lot of compassion. And they also need a lot of confidence and also respect for the people that have FAS. I look for family support. I look for the strength in the family, also with the support of the clients and the support of the workers. So everyone has to work hand in hand and try to support that one person, because it takes more than a support worker to work with a client. It takes a whole community, as we say.
It's your brain back here that takes all of that stimuli and makes your body do stuff. You don't have control over that. Your brain does. So they're scared. Most of the time, these kids are terrified. They're scared of police. They're scared of the teacher. They're scared of the neighbors. They're just scared all the time. If they don't get supported, then they're terrified. And when you're terrified, you hurt people. And that's a major, major trigger for all this criminal activity that goes on.
Tools for working with folks with FASD.
Be calm, be patient. Food always helps. I think as long as you like the people you're working with, that everything will work out. Our kids don't have behavior problems. They have stimulation problems in their brain, the bottom brain.
In order to provide care to anybody, you need to know who they are as a person. You also kind of need to understand a bit of their history, also understanding who you are as a person and what is your own triggers, and you have an expectation of what they're going to say or how they're going to approach a situation. You're already into a bad start. The best situation, I think, is to have a blank slate approach where you get to know that person as an individual before you start to do any kind of care, and then really constantly question with them, is this the right way to support you? I have some really great staff, and some things that I've heard them say is, what does me doing my job look like? What does me help you look like? And asking the person you're working with, and it doesn't matter if they're a child or an adult, it gives them autonomy, it gives them empowerment. You're going to go a lot further when they feel like they're not in a power struggle with you. You can always check in with the individual you're working with on, is this successful? Can we try something different? Not trying to lock yourself in with this is the way it should be done, because we're working with individualized humans. To me, that's the most successful way of helping people.
I have found a calming space is good when working with people with FASD. I have found perhaps sitting at a table with them that's not too cluttery. It's good to have just a quiet, uncluttered space in working with them is, I think, one of the most beneficial things that I have found. I found that laughter goes a long way, kindness. Yeah, those are some of my effective tools.
Planning is important in starting your day. You set the mood for them, because if they set their mood, then they're just like, they could either be growly bears or whatever. Try to set the mood for them where you can bring them down, where they're not so angry sometimes. Sometimes they'll come in angry, and sometimes they'll swear at you. I just ignore that part. It's directed at me, but it's not meant for me. It's just an anger. One of their emotions that they can't control. So that's why I said set the mood for them. Always keep your communication open. And the best way for them that I find communicating is try to be consistent and don't overwhelm or speak too fast or use complex language. Easy, simple, they understand it, and your language is slow and patient. And you have to wait for them and not rush them, and that works. And they really appreciate it, really appreciate being heard, that you're listening to their voice. And lots of repetition, lots of reminders, little things, little reminders. If they don't know how to use a stove, use colored stickers or something. Just say, well, this is hot and this is cold, something to cue them in.
Well, it just so happens. For my 80th birthday, my son and I developed a poster. So we made a list of reminders for parents and caregivers and people living with FASD. You have to talk to people over and over and over. So what's going on? So what could we change? What would be better? What would be worse? They need help to understand what's going on. And once they get it, they get it. They can't stop the way their brain responds to stress, and we can't stop for it. So if adults and people who are supposed to be supporting people with FAS can't change, then they shouldn't be in the business. These kids are too precious to waste on rules that they can't follow. It's fun. Even when they're telling you to fuck off, it's fun. You got to learn to turn that part off. You just don't listen to that. Every day's a new day for these guys. These are people that are gentle, loving, kind, very competent in some ways. And all we need is to understand that and to know that all they need is love. It's true. All they need is love. We struggle to love people that say bad words to us. We struggle to love people that won't do what we say. If we change those words to can't do what we say, every single time they do something, say, okay, so he can't do it. So what can he do? It's a real give and take.
What are some tools for employers and employment?
Statistically, we know that almost 75% of people with FASD really struggle with employment. And it has a lot to do with the jobs that we put our folks in. So oftentimes when somebody has a disability, we're looking for a job that will be accessible for them and low capacity for them. Sometimes that works depending on the person that we're working with. Majority of the time what I witnessed is employers are taking somebody with FASD and assuming that they are a lower cognitive ability than they actually have. And so the job's not meaningful to them. And every single one of us want to do work that makes us feel good about ourselves at the end of the day. So if we can find employers that are willing to take a chance on somebody who wants to do something that's maybe outside of just stocking shelves that some of our folks have been successful in, it does also require an understanding that some of our folks have different days. So they may need additional leave time. But if you can see that as the strengths that they are bringing to your organization, the joy that they're going to bring to your staff, the real consideration that they will give to the clients that they may interact with in that role, it's worth it. So just giving accommodations and flexibility, and also working with an industry like ours. If you could work with their supports and understand them in advance of what they are capable of, so that we're not making situations worse when they do have an incident or they have something that goes off script for them. There's tools that you'll have on how to support that. So it's going to be a partnership and a collaboration, but there's a ton of our folks that will be super successful. Some of their strengths are that they really are great with children. They're great with elderly. They're very non-judgmental. Some programs I'd love to see happen is like how to be a support worker in a nursing home. People with FASD that have that desire to help would be amazing to just sit and listen to somebody talk and do activities with somebody that maybe is experiencing dementia, because they're understanding of that difference of brain, and they're not going to get as upset as maybe somebody else will with repeating the same story over and over again. So if we could see the strengths and match somebody with employment that fits those strengths, give them the right supports, and be understanding and accommodating as employers. And as an employer, I've done that, and it's worth it, because the value you give not just to the person that is living with FASD in that job, but also to other people who are living with FASD and can see that as a model and an example of what they can work towards, overall is going to change our community. And if you value your community as an employer, I think it's a really great thing to invest in.
What are some challenges for folks with FASD?
I think a lot of times they face actually being shunned by others, especially when people don't understand what the individual's situation might be. They might make fun of them, or they might make jokes that the person doesn't get or understand. I think it's important, if you possibly can, to learn a little bit about the individual before you actually start working with them. Learn a little bit about where they're from. If they're First Nations people, what First Nations are they? Know that First Nation. I think all those are good tools to have.
Every single individual with FASD is an individual, and so they're going to present differently depending on what their in utero experience was like, what their life was like, what levels of trauma they may have had. But overall, in general, the things that we see in a lot of people is definitely that memory problem, that impulse control. Some of the other challenges is just how people see folks. There is such a horrible understanding in our world of people with FASD being a burden or incapable of learning and changing and doing different. Some of the other big challenges people with FASD have is just really not being accepted or understood. So making and maintaining friendships, keeping employment, those are all big challenges that our people have, and is a direct impact because of something that was completely out of their control. If we approach situations differently, they might not have those same challenges. And I think that if we could learn how to calm ourselves down in situations and not necessarily react, because this person is not in control of that kind of outburst. Their brain doesn't allow them to pause and think of the consequence of, if you get upset at this situation, that could potentially cause you longer term problems because they're in the moment. So in terms of helping other people, some of the tools is education, having those conversations in the moment. When somebody responds and says, oh, I don't want this person in this space because of this, that's a great prime opportunity for us to say, have you ever heard of FASD? And have you ever learned these things? Because if you did know, then you would understand that your calm approach will help them calm back down. We can help regulate our folks when they go offline, and we can do that by modeling our behavior. We're working with folks with other side effects, what we would call adverse outcomes. They compound and make it much more difficult for us to be able to support them. And so not all the time is it going to be successful to say, you need to take a deep breath right now. And so no tool will work unless you have a relationship with the person you're working with. The very fortunate thing is that people with FASD are very easy to get to know and very easy to get around, quickly building a relationship with. Our folks love to talk and tell you about themselves. And if they feel safe around you and know that it's a non-judgmental zone, they'll share. And very quickly you can build a relationship, and then very quickly those tools will work.
We used to have an inclusion dance every month for everybody in the Yukon. And people would say, well, we want everyone to go, but we're hoping they'll take the bus. Does the bus work? It didn't work after 6 o'clock. Well, he'll find his way there if he really wants to go. This is not what life is about. Life is not about if you really want to go. Life is about people helping you get there.
What's it like being a guardian or parent of someone with FASD?
Safety is a really big concern because we have one too many people try to intimidate the vulnerable sector, and they try to take advantage, of their finances or their being, or it could be whatever it may be. Finances, one of the big ones that really had made me change my mind and just basically taking over her life. And it wasn't a good feeling for me, but because I knew how much she needed me, and she knew that she needed me, I became a guardian. It was hard for me emotionally because I really didn't want to take over somebody's life. We both needed each other in some way or form. I've been a guardian for probably 10 years now, and it does get tiring. I know guardians, they need a respite of some form, and I was able to get that this year, which was great. Then I was able to do work beside her, even though she was gone, make things smoother when she comes back for aftercare, like her job when she comes back. Who's going to be supporting her when she's at home? There's little things I have to take care of. It's all the aftercare that's most important, and how she's going to move forward.
It was a real startle sort of situation to find that there were so many of the kids in schools, and they were all in special classrooms and not receiving a real education. They were just sort of being warehoused. I spent the summer interviewing principals of all the schools to find out who could figure out what to do with them. And I wasn't having a lot of success. Don Roberts, who was the principal at Selkirk Street School, phoned me and he said, "What the hell's going on? I hear you're interviewing and you're not even talking to me." And I said, "Well, I haven't heard good things about you, Don, about your school from the parents at the parent support group." And he said, "Oh, come on. We have the best teachers in the world here. We can handle this. And I can guarantee you that he will have the best." So we did it, and it worked. The teachers loved him. They were so nice. One of the first things that happened for my son when he went to college in Victoria was that the support worker that I hired, and she taught him that whole Victoria bus system. She rode the bus with him for months. She got him a cell phone, showed him how to use it and how to call her. "I'm getting off this bus, I'm getting on this bus." She never had a moment when she didn't know where he was. At the college he went to, they assigned 2 mentors so that someone could be with him the whole day for the classes, so that he didn't miss a class or go to the wrong class or do the wrong thing. He was in a performing arts college, and the directors of the program said to me, "We have lots of kids like Matthew in our program. This is amazing." So they knew how to deal with kids who were unique. And he had a wonderful experience. He spent 2 years at college, and then he taught dance for 8 years at a dance school. There's famous people walking around with it, and they too have a support team. It doesn't look like Matthew's support team, but it's their support team. They have a personal assistant and all these things that teach them or that keep them on track. That's all it is, really. That's all it's about. And my proudest moment is every Mother's Day, he gives me a card that thanks me for taking care of him. I have them all fade.
Addressing misconceptions of FASD.
I think my biggest misconception of FASD individual in general was thinking that they understood everything that I said, they could process everything at the same speed or the same level that I did. And that's a huge issue when working with FASD people. And that's part of the reason I said about learn who this individual is before you start actually working with them. Once you know them, once you get used to them, then you can help them. I'm going to tell just a quick little story of an individual who is a residential school survivor. We were all together at a picnic, and this beautiful table was set up. We were stirring the soup, and he saw an individual at the table, and laughingly he said, "Don't eat too much, your pants will get tight." The person was offended, and of course this led to a few problems. But later I explained, this is what he heard in residential school: don't eat too much, your pants are going to get too tight. While he said it as a joke, he understood that he was told that really not to eat too much because we are not going to get you new pants. So that was just one instance that it helped so much because I knew his background. So I could smooth that situation over right away and ensure that no parties were offended or hurt, and especially the person with FASD, because they don't see humor and jokes the way we do. If you put all of that picture together and do a little bit of homework, you'll have an easy time working with them. I have found that most of them that I work with, really you can't tell that they're not just like you and me.
So I had no idea about FASD. I consider myself quite an educated human being, and I drank when I was pregnant. My understanding at that time, before she was born, was that anything you drink before testing on a pregnancy test is fine. It's not going to cause any kind of long-term harms. My understanding of how I saw people in my family and in my life who were struggling and had challenges was that they should just pull up their bootstraps, try harder, do better. And I had no concept of the connection between their parent drank while they were pregnant and then they have a hard time in life later on. And so regrettably, I made choices in how I responded and acted to people that are close to me and family members that were the wrong way. I feel a lot of gratitude to the learning journey I've had since I started working at FASSY, because it's taught me to be a better family member, to be a better friend, to be more open and accepting of people's differences, and know that there's some things that are uncontrollable and need just additional supports. And I'm definitely a much better mother, because it's kind of terrifying when you don't understand why your kid is having these outbursts and you have no idea how to calm them down or where it came from, because it seems to have just appeared from nowhere. And when you learn to do better, then you can see them in a different light. You can understand how much harder they're working and appreciate all the efforts they put in. It's been very humbling, to be honest, to do this work and to learn the majority of the things I've learned from the people who actually access and use our services, and learn from them on the wrong things that we have done in the past from our lack of understanding and just pure ignorance of this disability and what it's like to live with a brain like that in a world that is so unacceptable.
So I thought I knew quite a bit about FAS. I thought I really knew what I was doing. Dr. Asante thought we knew everything about FAS, how devastating a disability it was for the kids. At the time, people thought it was preventable because if the mom hadn't had alcohol during her pregnancy, the baby would be fine. But over the years, we've learned so much new about alcohol and women and these kids. The hard one was the lack of hope. In the beginning, it was very sort of scientific, and if you do this, you get this. Sort of no hope that anything could change. Right? And now there's so much research being done in millions of different fields, all related to this, but there actually is more focus on brain development. And it's so exciting to see that, because in the old days, we thought a kid born with brain damage was sort of a lost soul. And now we know that these kids are worth an arm and a leg, so we can put some money into them.
What are the strengths of someone with FASD?
Everybody has strengths. Everyone is an individual. You have to have a really good assessment, and that can be done by really anyone who understands child development. They can tell you what their strengths are, and you'll know right away anyway. Like my son's strength, one of his strengths is he's a song and dance man. I'm sure he came out singing. So by the time he was in high school, he was in 10 dance classes a week, because you have to encourage the parts that are good. And you can't use that as a punishment, like take away a dance class because he couldn't behave or something. That's not how it works. This is not a reward system. This is building on your strengths.
I have found that a lot of the individuals that I've worked with, they're very precise on their math. They're very precise on their colors. They're very precise in their art. They're very precise in form line. And if anybody knows about form line is one of the most difficult parts of artistry. They put a lot of good energy into anything that they do. They like to please us, and in doing so, they put forth their very best, which is another thing. You should always make sure that if you're doing something with them, compliment them on what they've done. You don't have to treat them like 5-year-olds and say, oh, good job, or just say, that's beautiful, the work that you did today. I find that they're also very honest people. They're very friendly. Most of them are very interested in you. They are interested in getting help. They're interested in doing things.
I'm wearing earrings that are made by one of our folks, so definitely artistic nature, the ability to see a vision in their head and then put it out and create something with that. They have such an endearing character. There's not one person I've met with FASD that hasn't kind of stolen a piece of my heart. People with FASD are also a great reflection of calling you out on things that maybe you don't want to even admit for yourself. They do not handle lies very well, and they sniff them out and ask you these intense questions that make you have to look inside and be like, you're absolutely right, I'm not doing the right thing here. Folks with FASD are extremely self-aware. They're also really open to supports and help. And when it's offered in the right way, they'll jump on that. They want to learn. They are super unaccepting of social injustice. They stand up for what they believe in. Our people are not afraid of standing up in an uncomfortable situation if it means the rights and dignities of another person is upheld.
What would you say to a young person living with FASD?
There's lots of hope. Find your family. Your family may not be your family, but build a family around you that understands and that supports you.
You know, I would just say go and live life to your very fullest, your very best. What you can do, just concentrate on that part of your life and move forward. Do whatever makes you happy.
Find your people. That's the advice I give my daughter. Because people with FASD are such unique individuals with so many gifts to offer. And it's so unfortunate to see them whittle away those beautiful gifts and put them on the back burner in order to feel accepted and in order to just be part of the group and act and conform like everyone else. And the gift that they give our world is that they aren't conforming. And so my advice to anybody that is unsure if they have prenatal alcohol exposure or know that they have FASD and are struggling is find your people. They are out there. There are going to be people that are going to appreciate every single gift that you have. They are not going to get too offended, upset when you maybe have a challenge around them. Hold out for those guys, because when you find those people, you'll find your full self. And if you can remember that in those moments when it's hard and you feel alone and isolated, that it's just because your tribe is out there and you haven't yet found them, you get it to keep going for another day. And when you do find those people, you will bloom and they will make you feel all the things that you missed out on. So don't give up. Hold on, ask for supports, find the people out there that are living with this as well. Learn from them and know that it's a journey. It doesn't end, it keeps going. You will have challenges, ups and downs, but that's the beauty part of it too. It's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you gotta go up and fall back down, and that's what makes it fun.
You will become a voice of reason. You will become a voice of respect and a voice of support